Somewhere in Mexico, right now, there's a chayote vine that was planted before anyone currently alive in that household was born, and it's still producing fruit, reliably, abundantly, without being replanted, without much fuss. Climbing whatever it can find and sending out enough food in a single season to feed a family and half the neighbors besides. And in parts of West Africa, the Caribbean, Southeast Asia, and across Latin America, chayote is so ordinary and so woven into daily cooking and daily gardening that nobody there would understand why it needs a video explaining why you should grow it, because the answer to that question is obvious. It feeds you. It keeps feeding you. It grows in difficult conditions, and it asks almost nothing in return. But in Western gardening culture, chayote barely exists, and most gardeners who encounter it for the first time react with a kind of baffled curiosity, as if they've stumbled across something that should have been on their radar for years and somehow wasn't, which is exactly the right reaction, because that's precisely what happened. This is the plant that got quietly left behind while the seed catalogs filled up with 40 varieties of zucchini, and it's worth understanding both what it actually is and why that happened, because the two things together tell a story that changes how you think about what belongs in a productive garden. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Chayote. Sikium edule. If you want the full name, though nobody calls it that outside a laboratory, is a perennial climbing vine from the gourd family, originally from Mesoamerica, and the thing that separates it immediately and fundamentally from every other vegetable in the gourd family is that perennial part, because zucchini is an annual, squash is an annual, cucumbers are annuals, and every spring the whole process starts again from seed, from scratch, with all the vulnerability and uncertainty that comes with that, whereas chayote, once established, comes back from the same root system year after year for decades, getting stronger and more productive with each passing season rather than wearing out. The vine itself is vigorous in a way that takes most gardeners by surprise the first time they grow it, climbing enthusiastically to 6, 8, 10 meters if it has the structure to support it, and producing fruit prolifically once it hits its stride. A mature chayote plant in a good season will produce somewhere between 50 and 150 fruits, depending on the climate and how well it's been managed, and those fruits keep coming over an extended harvest window rather than all at once the way zucchini does, which means the garden isn't suddenly overwhelmed with more than can be eaten and then bare a week later. The fruit itself is mild, slightly sweet, with a texture somewhere between a firm cucumber and a water chestnut. It absorbs flavor from whatever it's cooked with the way a good aubergine does, which makes it useful across an enormous range of dishes, and it's eaten at every stage from young and tender to fully mature, with the leaves, shoots, and tuberous roots also edible, meaning almost every part of the plant contributes something to the kitchen at some point in the season. In Jamaican cooking it goes into stews and rice dishes. In Vietnamese kitchens it's in soups and stir-fries. In Mexican households it's stuffed, fried, pickled, and eaten raw, and has been for thousands of years, because this is a plant with a very long relationship with the people who've kept growing it across generations, and that relationship persisted because it works, reliably, year after year, in conditions that would end a zucchini plant's season early. Blank. Underscore. Blank. The reason Western gardening culture largely set it aside is less dramatic than the title of this video might suggest, and honestly more mundane, which is the way these things usually go. Chayote doesn't produce in the first year the way annuals do, and in the relatively short growing seasons of Northern Europe and much of North America, getting a first-year plant to fruit before the cold sets in requires either a long warm autumn or the kind of season extension that most gardeners weren't routinely doing when the major seed catalogs were establishing their standard offerings, and a plant that doesn't reliably fruit in year one is a hard sell in a market built around immediate return. So it got left out, and once it's out of the catalog it's out of the conversation, and within a generation or two it becomes the plant that grandmothers in certain communities still grow and everyone else has never heard of, which is more or less exactly what happened across most of Western Europe and North America, while the rest of the world carried right on growing it and eating it and wondering what the fuss was about with all those courgettes. Blank. Underscore. Blank. Growing chayote starts with the fruit itself, because unlike most vegetables it isn't grown from seed in the conventional sense. The whole fruit is the seed, and you plant the entire thing, slightly angled into the soil with the stem end tilted upward and about a third of the fruit left above the soil surface, and within a few weeks in warm conditions the sprout emerges from that stem end and the vine begins, drawing on the fruit's moisture and nutrients as it establishes, which gives it a head start that growing from extracted seed simply doesn't replicate. The fruit for planting should be fully mature, not the young tender fruits eaten as vegetables, but one that's been left on the vine to develop completely, which is slightly wrinkled at the stem end and feels heavy and dense rather than firm and fresh. And if a chayote from a grocery store or a market has started to sprout slightly in storage, that one is already doing exactly what it should be doing and will establish faster than one that hasn't started yet. Soil preparation matters here more than with annual vegetables, because this is a long-term planting rather than a seasonal one, and the root system that develops in the first 2 years will be feeding the vine for potentially decades, so starting with well-amended, well-draining soil with good organic matter content and a pH somewhere between 6 and 7 gives the plant the foundation it needs to establish strongly rather than struggling through its first season in compacted or depleted ground. A handful of finished compost worked into the planting area and a layer of mulch to retain moisture through establishment is the kind of start that pays back across years rather than just the current season. Position is the other critical decision, and it's worth taking seriously because unlike an annual vegetable that can be moved next year if the spot doesn't work, chayote is going where you put it for a long time, and it wants full sun, a structure it can climb, a fence, a trellis, an archway, the side of a shed, and enough space to spread, because a mature vine in full production is not a small thing and trying to contain it in a space that's too tight creates management problems that compound every season. In warm climates where the ground doesn't freeze, chayote behaves as a true perennial, dying back to the root in cooler months and returning with increasing vigor each spring, and the root system, which in older plants develops into a large starchy tuber that is itself edible and is considered a delicacy in parts of Mexico, becomes more productive each year as it stores more energy over winter and pushes harder the following season. In climates with hard winters, growing it as a very long annual or providing root protection through the coldest months with a deep mulch layer gives it the chance to come back rather than being lost, and in genuinely cold climates where that isn't viable, growing it in a large container that overwinters under cover is the way growers in Northern Europe are increasingly making it work. Blank. Blank. Feeding chayote through the growing season follows a logic similar to other climbing fruiting plants. Generous on potassium through flowering and fruit development, consistent moisture without waterlogging, and a top dressing of compost each spring as the vine emerges to replenish the organic matter. The root system worked through the previous season, and that annual compost top dressing is genuinely all the fertility management most established chayote plants need, because the root system in a mature plant is extensive enough to access nutrients across a wide area of soil, and the perennial growth habit means the plant isn't exhausting itself rebuilding from seed each season. A moisture meter is useful here in the establishment year specifically, because young chayote plants are more sensitive to moisture stress than established ones, and consistent soil moisture in the first season is what determines how strongly the root system develops before winter. And a plant that established well in year 1 will come back harder in year 2 and produce earlier in year 3, whereas one that struggled through moisture stress in establishment takes longer to hit its stride, and the one linked in the description below is what gets used here for exactly that kind of early season monitoring where getting it right has consequences that stretch beyond the current year. Harvest window. Once a plant is mature, is one of the genuinely pleasurable things about growing chayote, because it doesn't demand picking everything at once the way a zucchini plant does when it decides to produce, and fruits left slightly longer on the vine develop a richer flavor without going bitter or woody the way overgrown courgettes do. So the harvest is forgiving in a way that annual gourd crops rarely are, and the extended production window, often running from late summer through to the first frost in temperate climates, and year-round in truly warm ones, means the garden stays productive long after most of the summer vegetables have finished. What most gardeners notice in their second or third year with an established chayote is a quiet shift in how they think about productivity, because the plant is there and producing without the replanting, the seed starting, the transplanting, the gap between seasons where the bed is empty and unproductive, and it starts to feel less like a vegetable crop and more like a permanent part of the garden's infrastructure, something to be managed and harvested rather than started and finished each year, which is a different and frankly more satisfying relationship with a piece of ground than annual cropping usually allows. That's the thing that kept chayote in continuous cultivation across so many cultures for so long, and the thing that makes it worth finding space for now, not as a novelty or an experiment, but as a genuine long-term addition to a productive garden that gets better with time rather than starting over every spring. If permanent, low-maintenance productivity is the direction your garden is moving in, this channel stays in exactly that territory, and subscribing means that conversation keeps going. And if you're already growing chayote, or you grew up with it and want to add something to this, the comments are where that belongs. Because the knowledge that kept this plant alive across generations lived in exactly those kinds of conversations.